Cousin's lottery scam backfired. My cousin Terrence runs this sketchy call center operation out of his apartment. He's got 3 laptops set up in his living room, and he spends all day calling elderly people, pretending to be from the state lottery commission. He hired me and my friend Kyle to help him last summer because he said we could make easy money. I needed cash for college, so I said yes, even though it felt wrong. Terrence taught us the script. We would tell people they won second place in a lottery drawing they never entered, but they needed to pay processing fees to claim their prize. He specifically targeted people over 70 because he said they were more trusting and less likely to understand how scams work. He had this whole system where he bought lists of phone numbers from data brokers that included ages and income levels. The first few weeks were awful, but profitable. Terrence would have us call about 50 numbers a day each. Most people hung up immediately, but every once in a while someone would believe us. There was this one lady named Dorothy who got so excited when I told her she won $40,000. She kept saying she could finally help her grandson pay for medical school. I felt sick to my stomach, but Terrence was standing right behind me, making sure I stuck to the script. Dorothy sent us $500 in gift cards for the supposed processing fee. Then Terrence made me call her back the next day saying there was an additional tax fee of $800. She said she didn't have that much, but Terrence told me to keep pushing. I heard her voice crack when she said she would have to borrow from her retirement account. After she sent that money, Terrence wanted me to call again for insurance fees, but I couldn't do it anymore. I told him I was done. He laughed and said I was weak, then gave my leads to Kyle, but Kyle kept calling Dorothy. Over the next 2 weeks, they got another $3,000 from her. She kept asking when her winnings would arrive, and Kyle kept making up excuses about processing delays and additional fees. Everything changed when Dorothy's son Robert called our number back. He had found our number on his mom's phone bill and wanted to know who we were. Terrence panicked and hung up immediately. He told us to block the number and move on to other targets, but Robert didn't give up that easily. I found out later that he worked in cybersecurity for a bank. He started digging into everything. He traced the gift card redemptions, tracked the phone numbers we used, and even found the fake websites Terrence had set up to look official. Robert discovered that his mom wasn't the only victim. Terrence had been running the scam for 2 years and had stolen over $200,000 from at least 40 different elderly people. Robert did something I never expected. Instead of just going to the police, he contacted a federal investigator he knew from his banking job. Turns out, scamming elderly people across state lines is a federal crime that the FBI takes very seriously. They started building a case, but they needed someone on the inside. Robert somehow figured out that I was one of the callers, probably from the background noise when I was on the phone with his mom. He found me on social media and sent me a message. He didn't threaten me or anything. He just explained how his mom had been saving that money for years and now couldn't afford her heart medication. He asked if I would help him stop Terrence. I was terrified, but I knew I had to do something. I agreed to wear a wire to the apartment. The FBI agent gave me this tiny recording device and told me to act normal. I went to work like usual, but this time I got Terrence talking about everything. He bragged about how much money he was making and how stupid these old people were. He even showed me his spreadsheet with all the victims' information and how much he had stolen from each one. He talked about his plans to expand the operation to 5 more callers. He had no idea that every word was being recorded. 3 days later, the FBI raided the apartment while we were in the middle of calls. Terrence tried to delete everything from his computers, but it was too late. They had all the evidence from my recording plus the digital trail Robert had uncovered. The look on Terrence's face when they put him in handcuffs was pure shock. He kept saying it was just telemarketing, that it wasn't a real crime. The FBI agent told him he was looking at 20 years for wire fraud, elder abuse, and running an organized crime operation. Kyle got arrested too, but because he cooperated immediately, he got a lighter sentence. I had to testify in court as part of my plea deal. Dorothy and the other victims got some of their money back from Terrence's seized assets. Terrence is now serving 12 years in federal prison, and he has to pay back everything he stole when he gets out.